Welcome. As you know, this channel is mainly on how to get better at work and life. And most of the things that we discuss is to make sure we understand with clarity as to what is required to get better. And one of the important aspects of getting better at work and life is getting better at how do we lead the leadership qualities. And there are thousands of qualities, I mean may not be thousands, maybe more, hundreds of qualities which is required to be a better leader both at work as well as in our personal life. But one of the important qualities that we will talk about, which I feel is that which has to be cultivated, and that's I have seen from my personal experience as well. And that quality is what we will talk about, and that quality is energy and enthusiasm, you call it. There are hundreds of qualities, as I mentioned, being it so many different qualities, right? Being trustworthy, loyal, being courageous, being effective in communicator, being people leader, having people skills. There are n number of skills. But what we are talking about today is a very important quality, I feel, because I had seen in my personal experience people who were very good or effective leaders had one trait in common. There are different leadership styles. Some people may be having different traits and qualities than others, and their own style of leadership. There are different styles of leadership. You can go through theory and find out 6 different leadership styles, each one having slightly different qualities and all of that. But what I felt on the ground, the people who were very effective leaders had one common trait, at least whoever I had come across, and that was their energy and enthusiasm that they were showing. That aura, that energy that they radiate. When you speak to them, even for a few minutes, you are left with some unforgettable feeling of having interacted with that person, right? Or you will see how fast they walk, or how confidently they talk, or how quickly they decide with good data points, or many such things which you feel that it was different than many others, right? So that energy and aura you see continuously throughout the day, I felt like it was much different in some of the effective leaders that I had come across in my 20 plus years of experience in the corporate life, even at personal level as well, not just professional. And that's what we'll talk about today. And if you need to cultivate such an energy and enthusiasm in what you do, be it with a project or be it in personal life, whatever you do, what we should do, it's more for understanding that and trying to apply them in your real life. So I hope that introduction suffices, and we will get into the details as to how, right? And I first point that I think is very important aspect is owning responsibility. Owning or taking responsibility. We will not go bookish here. I mean, there are several books written on leadership, and there will be many qualities. But what mainly we will talk about is based on my experience and what I had seen on the ground, and that's what I'm taking that point here, right? Because it's not based on any theoretical knowledge from some books or something. So what I had seen was, when you take one particular action or an activity completely, when you own it, that's when the things start changing. So until you own it, what happens is it's there somewhere lingering. You are not giving your 100%. You will be providing your output in a half-hearted fashion. That won't work. What is needed is you have to wholeheartedly accept and communicate, own it, and deliver it. Whatever that project may be, you have to take the complete ownership, because only then a lot of things fall in place. Unless you completely own it, saying that, okay, this is my responsibility, this I'll have to get it done, this is my whole and soul purpose in life, for example, right? Unless we have such kind of attitude towards something, the energy, life energy that we give to the work or anything in life is not going to be as significant. You have to feel full energy, because I had seen in my own life and I have seen others as well. In my own life, even when I had given the complete energy, complete 100% or even beyond that to something, versus when I was not completely into it, because there were so many times when I was not as well. I can clearly see the difference. And once you start owning something, the actions, the thinking, strategizing, the planning, everything that you do subsequently makes a whole lot of difference, not just to you, for the people around you as well. Even they will see how are you working on, etc. So first step I feel is definitely you have to own and take that responsibility, because that makes a lot of difference in how the leader comes across. And the second thing I can clearly say is the positivity. It may look like it's a cliche advice, but let's we'll go through, or you call it optimism, or even courage. So what I really mean by that is, whoever very effective leaders that I had seen, who possessed a lot of, see that aura, the energy, they have that positivity and that positive mindset they had, and the optimism in the face of failure, and the courage to face the problems head on, right? So see, for example, I will tell you one example. One of the leader who I had seen, who was very effective, even though there are things when we all felt it was a complete failure, he did not leave. He was encouraging us to do so much, to go behind it, and try to do whatever we can to come back, right? That was, it was setting very much apart, because most of the people, 90% of the people can feel in the face of face, because sometimes people have to be pragmatic as well, right? And it's obvious that people might stop or leave at certain stage, because that's also very important to quit. But when we have the confidence that even when there are unknowns, we can try and do something, that's when that optimism, that courage to face the problems head on, that hope, that confidence to do something positive, that comes out, right? So that positive energy comes out in such crisis situations, but even otherwise also on a day-to-day situation when there is nothing to look forward to, something new, even then when you radiate the positive energy, it goes a long way in taking things along. And that's what that energy sets apart. So it may look like a cliche, but the point here is that courage, that positivity, that optimism has to be always ingrained within. And if it is not, we need to consciously try to ingrain that, because it has to be pragmatic, and it is not always the case that you have to be positive all the time. But then maximum number of times, people who are effective versus not effective tend to have slight difference in the way they have the optimism towards something. So that's what we have to cultivate. And the third thing I saw, I think I have communicated communication, right? I have shared this detail in one of the other videos as well, regarding the communication skill being one of the topmost skills for anybody to learn and reap the benefits. What I really talking about energy and communication over here is, more often than not, when you try to involve yourself and communicate that to the people around you, that involvement part, right, continuously on a day-to-day basis, from morning till afternoon, evening, even it may look like sometimes over communication, that's when people realize the movement, that mobilization happens. People see things are moving, not because of anybody else, because of you are moving, because once you start moving yourself and communicate that movement to the team and whoever around you, then things start mobilizing. That involvement of you in that goal and the target, whatever that is, that has to be communicated. And that vision, right? You don't have to be, theoretical vision that this, but what I'm trying to hear is, this is exactly our goal, where we are targeting or where we are heading. This is exactly what we have to achieve. If you communicate it effectively to everybody's imagination. You say, I can see this is how, where we have to go, where we will end up, or we have to end up, or I imagine this is where we have to be there after a certain period of time, this is our goal, or I believe we can reach here, this is where we are and this is where we have to reach, and this is how we have to go. And that kind of vision you communicate with energy and complete involvement, and show that movement, show that mobilization step by step, how we are going, what we are doing towards it. That kind of communication, through it may be emails, through maybe calls, but it has to be very regular in the sense, first thing in the morning, day of the day, and afternoon, in the evening. It has to be continuous. It's not should be like a passive where you communicate once and after a couple of days you come back and say something. So that is not the involvement. You have to show that involvement through your communication, and that communication of both your involvement as well as where you are going to end up, where you are headed at the core, that vision, that becomes very important, I feel. So when you do that, that radiates that energy into people, and they also feel the involvement that they have to be there, and they also go along with you. So that kind of communication which is required, and I have seen that in the leaders that I have come across, clear cut goals, clear cut vision, this is what we have to do and this is how we are progressing, is crystal clear to everybody. And there are chances that people might misunderstand some of the things. You could clarify, you can clarify with a larger perspective. All of that helps in taking the people along with you, and that thought actually takes things forward. So that's why the communication, where the involvement and vision part can be communicated, becomes very important. And the fourth point, right? So quick in actions. I have not seen any leader who are not really fast enough in taking some of this. Take anything, speaking, they are not like very laid back in speaking. No, they were like very time sensitive. They were very much they had very much sense of the time they are spending, both for themselves and for others. They would speak fast, they would walk fast, they would decide something if there is something on the table which is either the conflict or decision to be made or something which has to be decided. If the data point is there, they would ask few questions, they make the decision, whatever is there in their authority, very quickly. They would not leave it for later. The decision making, even the conversation, even you have 1 minute of 1 minute of conversation, you would be left with some impact. You will come back and tell there was something about that conversation which was unforgettable. I mean, it is a class act, So that kind of feeling you get when you have a conversation with somebody, because people are busy, everybody is busy, everybody's time is important. And if you can do a conversation which is impactful, that is the greatest thing. And not only just talking, right? It's just also about listening attentively for someone else and really understanding what their problems are, listening all about them, and taking some actions based on that. So all of these are quick, not just laid back in any action. So that energy radiates in these actions somebody takes. And even giving the feedback, right? When something goes wrong, somebody has to come and give a constructive feedback to somebody. And not only just when things go wrong, even when there is a positive thing that is happening around, you come back and give some constructive feedback. This was very good. I mean, this was excellent, and this is how we have to do. And what went well is this. I appreciate that. All of that, giving constructive feedback outright, not leaving it for later, and giving it in a way that people can feel it, or people around can feel it. All of these quick actions, all these actions in a quick time, without wasting any time, keeps things moving. That energy comes out so much. If you try to do something, your energy automatically is felt to be very high, and it has to be. Otherwise, you cannot take these actions very quickly. It could be in your speaking, it could be in walking, it could be in firm handshakes, it could be decision making, short conversations, listening, or giving the feedback. There is a number of things which comes on a day-to-day basis when you're working or in your personal life. When you do it, people will say you are a busy man, you are very attentive, you are active. So that's what it comes out, right? And the fifth point, which is it's also the hard fact, right? So is that such leaders with a lot of energy and enthusiasm also end up spending a lot of time on your work, on that work, or whatever the goal that they are behind it. This is the hard fact. Obviously, not great in terms of managing all the things at life. For example, something or the others. I'm telling pragmatically what I have seen. If you are focusing too much on completely involved in some project or some goals professionally, it is likely that you will not be able to spend enough time for your family. Even during weekends or holidays, you will still be probably occupied in some ways. And that is what, unfortunately, I think is the hard fact. Because whatever I have seen, probably they utilize whatever time left out in a much better way to try to utilize quality time with the family, for example. However, it is a fact that people who have gone ahead, been effective, they have also spent a lot of effort, lot of energy in um, on the work they are trying to do, right? So it's a hard fact. They are intelligent, but at the same time they are smart. But it's also a fact that they are very hardworking, very very hardworking. Even you might feel, how can somebody work like 14 hours, sometimes 15, 16 hours? If you really see the effective leaders on the top, you will feel that they definitely are very hardworking. They are not just not like, as some might say in theoretically, they are smart, they don't work a lot, etc. It's not the case. At least I have seen people who are really really hardworking. They are putting extra hours, and when they were needed, even in midnights, even in early mornings, weekends, holidays, that's how it is. That is the hard fact. And when you put that, you have that firm conviction in you, that confidence in you, where to talk, you deliver, you present, that energy automatically comes out, right? So that's the reality. I mean, once you do that, your energy radiates out of you. So that's the hard fact. Unfortunately, it is not great thing. When you look holistically, you may not be giving as much time as required to your family or friends or whatever other activities, which you may compensate in a different way, even if it's a very small, you know so that's the hard fact, but that's how one can develop as well. Okay, so the next point is that you have to serve people. When I say people, I really meant people below that particular leader, maybe a team member, or even the clients or whoever they are interacting, right? I mean, everybody knows what is new in this, you might ask. The thing is the mindset shift that is required here, right? You are not the boss, you are not a leader, but you are a servant to a particular set of people. So you have to serve them. So, I mean, it may be a slight mindset shift, and you might have heard it several times as well. But the real thing here is, the question to ask is, how many people you have helped? Is it 5? Is it 10? Is it 1? Is it 10, 15? Because the more you help people, they will definitely reciprocate back. More you help people, they will follow you, because you are serving their interest, and that's why they are going to follow you. Because how else people follow you, right? Unless you actually serve and help others, they will not follow you. Basically, that mindset shift has to happen. We know leadership is not about leading or being a boss, but it is more of a service, etc. But that's all fine, everybody understands that. But real questions to ask on the ground is, how many people I have helped? Let's say I have helped 3 people. What kind of help I did? Is there anything else that the person wants that I can help him with or her with? What is the real need they are going through? What are the opportunity to serve them that I really need to look into? All of this we need to look into. See, because when we are working on a project or a goal or big project goals or something, it is obvious that you might forget the real intricacies aligned within the larger goal. There are people, they have life, they have family, their own goals, aspirations. It is really when you take care of those intricacies with details as to what is this particular person, he or she really needs to be successful, how can I create or ability to create success for them. Then they realize that, okay, you are really interested in making their life better. And that is when they like you, they follow you, they give their output to you, and that's how you generate and make successful overall. And the point here is, The energy that you radiate comes not just from your own energy, it comes from the people around you, their thoughts, their ideas, their energy coming out of, you know, to serve. So all of that happens when you serve them first. So that is why I had seen people helping others to do that, even giving a bad feedback. I'm not saying bad isn't bad, it may be called as constructive feedback, but then when you're giving something to other people, that time you are really telling them what they lack and they're trying to improve. So that way you are actually helping them to come up. It may be monetary benefits, it may be a life situation that needs addressing. A lot of things might happen. People have, life, right? So when you serve people around, that's when really you also go up and your energy goes up. So that's what I have seen. People with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, they are around people. I'm not talking about the people's skills or any aspect. It's just a simple plain fact where you help others. And the real metric to see is how many people you have helped and what kind of help you did, and is there more that people expect you out of, you from, right? So that's the kind of thinking you have to do and take some actions to do that will help, I feel. Okay. And the last one I want to say is, see, all of these are fell. So we talked about we have to be quick in actions, we have to communicate, you share the vision, positivity, owning responsibility. Hard fact is you spend weekends, all of that. So if we have to do all of this, taking responsibility, it's a lot of work, a lot of time is needed. Your energy will get drained. Where you will have the energy to radiate to others and lead and all of that, when you yourself is not, you are not having any more energy to do it, right? So that's why living well becomes a very important aspect, because all these things are outcome of how you are. I mean, as simple as that. I mean, if you are not really good, or if you do not really have any good intention, or if you are really not taking care of yourself properly, maybe eating well or diet or exercise or sleeping, all of this, very very small things, very required things on a day-to-day basis, none of these things will happen. At the end of the day, all these things are mere attitudes of how you see the work and your responsibility. Unless you actually see them, it has to go in a particular direction and really not enthusiastic within yourself, how else you get that energy to do anything, right? You internally, your core within you, within you, you should be able to have that kind of mindset and attitude. Unless you have that and take care of your life well, be it your own day-to-day life with your family, the way you live, unless you take care of that, the energy, energy and enthusiasm that we are talking about, that will not be a reality. So the simple point is that all that we talked about, just to recap, owning, taking a responsibility for something, right? Then the positive energy that you have to adopt, or positive thinking, or the confidence, optimism, or courage to stand up and talk to the people, or raising voice for somebody or for the cause, whatever it is. Communication, showing involvement, and just not showing, right? It has to be complete involvement from your side, day in, day out. Unless you do that, who else will be involved like you? Because I have seen in my personal experience also, all the projects that were successful, all the work that was very much worthy of doing and successful and effective, are when I gave much harder contribution and I was involved. And there were times, because of various reasons, it was not that successful. That involvement and providing the communication, vision, communication regularly, I can't stress enough. Okay, I mean, if you do not do anything, just be involved and communicate regularly, most of the things will happen. That energy radiates automatically, even if nobody talks to you. Even with, say, email communication regularly, I've seen that when you do that, it speaks a lot on your actual work, contribution, what kind of involvement you have, what goal you are moving towards. All of that comes in. You have to take quick in action, you have to be quick in actions, don't delay, don't procrastinate, all of that. Yeah, I mean, there are things when you cannot decide, but there are many ways to take actions, right? Learn, whatever. So all of that is very important. Hard fact is that you end up spending a lot lot more than probably you can. Your family may have less time, that's a hard fact, but as much as you are smart working, you also need to work hard, and that's a hard fact as well. You have to serve people. Mindset has to change. Don't lead, don't be boss. Help, serve. Ask the question, how many people you have helped? What kind of help you did? Are there any more help that you can do? One person at a time. The more help you do, more people will follow you. That's the reality. And all that has to happen, you have to live well, not just on a work or a professional context. These are all everything. You can apply it everything in personal life. I mean, there is nothing, in my view, there is nothing different being a leader in your personal life versus professional life. It's all similar. It's in every area, in every walk. So you have to have positive energy radiating. All these qualities have to come out significantly, being you being effective, right? So you can apply in your personal as well as in professional life. And next time, just think, can I radiate some more enthusiasm in it, and do that wholeheartedly? It has to come within. And unless this is done, which is probably the first point which I mentioned, owning, taking responsibility, if you're not fully involved and taking responsibility wholeheartedly, that enthusiasm will not come. Unless you're doing that, unless you make sure that you can contribute with enthusiasm and energy, outcome will not be as effective as you can probably hope for. Because all of this, you don't have to be too serious to do as well. You can have fun as well. You can some enjoyment also. Enthusiasm, energy comes also with enjoyment. That enjoy, you have to enjoy, because they say, right, when you go to work not thinking it is a work, it is part of your life, things will be different. And it's easy to say, hard to do, but it can happen when you have the enthusiasm, your alignment with what you want to really do in your life. So I feel that if you follow some of these things, I'm pretty sure the energy and enthusiasm you depict in your work and your day-to-day life, both on a personal and professional level, will improve, and you will move towards being an effective leader. So yeah, that's all for this session. I hope this was useful. Thank you.